everybody talks about teams, and you remember November. They really talk about you remember November because of the focus that you're able to have on a day in, day out basis. Um, After being in it, August, September, October, you get into November. You remember November because the teams that are the most locked in and dialed in and that continue to follow the process are the teams that are most successful, and we were able to do that all the way into December and even the 1st of January.
What would be your message to NFL teams like they're maybe taking a glance at a guy like Shamari Simmons?
If you're looking for someone that you want to, when you're coming into the building, in that third, fourth, and even fifth month of the season, someone that you look forward to seeing every single day, without any days off, through the grind of the season, Shamari's a guy that you're going to look forward to seeing every day because he's a guy that brings it every day. He doesn't have mood swings. He's someone you can depend on. And they talk about the best ability being dependability and availability. He embodied that. He's going to have a very long, I think, NFL career because of his dependability, and you know what you're getting with him.
How did you feel about not having any of your defensive players invited to the combine after such a successful season?
I really don't pay attention, to that a whole lot, and the reason I don't is because, if the NFL guys are going to come and ask me, I'm going to be completely honest with them about those guys, and that was the thing. I didn't have many conversations with some of those guys, and the guys that, when I say something to the NFL scouts, it is completely truthful. I'll give them, who they are on their worst days and who they are on their best days, and who they are in between. And when you're talking about guys like Caleb McCullough and Shamari Simmons and those guys are guys that you just depended on every single day. You knew who they were going to be every single day. The team was always very important to them. They had a responsibility and accountability to those guys and their coaches. But most of all, they knew who they are as men. And, those are guys that you want to put your career in their hands because those are the guys that you can depend on, and you know what you're gonna get every day from those guys.
You got so much of your defense back. How much more ahead are you going to be in spring now, knowing that you've got so many guys that have already played in this defense?
Yeah. Again, the first year you're trying to lay in the foundation. The second year, you're hoping you can put everything together, and we obviously did. Now you got so many guys coming back just in our 2 deep. We're already way ahead in terms of the way we're gonna put pressure on our guys this spring is we're gonna put pressure on our guys this spring by actually seeing how much they can handle. And it's always a balancing act. You never want to take away from fundamentals, them playing fast and being able to anticipate things. But we're going to challenge them. We're going to push the envelope in terms of what we can get and see if we can get into that week 10, 11, 12 mode that we were playing in here, even in spring ball, with our first two groups.
What does it mean to be able to keep working with the same defensive coaching staff? AJ back, Zyron back, and Brian Ward?
Yeah, it's huge. Don't forget about, Dwayne Walker and Vince Amy and Max Silver and, even the younger guys like Cannon Siegel, and having, Jordan Lee come back has been huge for me in the secondary. Ray Clark being back, you got a lot of guys that have been in that room and worked together before, and we all carry the same amount of work and the responsibility, and so those guys just understand that everybody's just trying to do their part, and having those guys back, we're not having to work through the communication barriers of learning each other's languages, so obviously where that's going to really help is having all those guys coming back on defense. So we're going to be able to hopefully continue to improve and take a couple steps forward this year.
Will Breedlove play nickel, and what led you to target him?
Kendrick was a guy that he started off his career at corner and showed a lot of really good corner clips at his two previous schools. He has, I think, elite cover skills, but as he's gotten bigger, he's done that 190, 195 pound range, and he was moved to nickel at Purdue. you bring in a guy who started every game in the Big Ten last year, who was really productive. I don't think he had like 50 or 60, maybe 70 tackles last year at nickel. He's super physical, has experience. You know, we didn't want to take, I guess, any steps backward with losing Shamari this year. We wanted to actually find a way to continue to move forward in that room, and having Montana and Kyan at that position as well. You got two guys that are really well versed in the system. They know the expectation of what the standard is. Montana had his first start last year in the Peach Bowl and did well in the first half, and you know, he's a guy that's ready to emerge. Kyan's a guy that, you know, he's going to hopefully get into that second year growth as well. So there's competition at that nickel spot, and hopefully that we can continue to move forward at that position and not feel the pain of losing a guy like Shamari Simmons as much.
How do you keep the same hunger? Obviously, Kenny talked about the underdog team. You all played with a chip on your shoulder. Now you're the team that's going to be the hunted. How do you keep the same urgency?
Yeah. I mean, players tend to model their coaches' behavior, so they're not going to see us, because none of us are wired. None of us got to this level, of coaching by taking a step backwards. So the big thing is it's just basically just we found the guys that were wired the right way, and those guys were able to stay consistent throughout the season and the year last year, and also pushing and knowing that, hey, we're trying to reach our potential, not only individually but cumulatively as a group. So I just don't think we have guys that are wired like that are going to get comfortable and think that we've arrived. I mean, we ended the end of the season on the sour note. You know, that's just the reality. And if that doesn't make you hungry about what could be, and where we could go, then you're in the wrong place.
How many times do you think you watched the fourth and first league play over the last year?
Probably 3 times.
Is that,
Yeah, why would I?
well, I was just asking, is that a play that sticks with the defensive coordinator over the offense?
Not any more than, the other plays that we made in that game as well. Because there's sometimes you're going to be in the right play, sometimes you're not going to be in the right play. And, if we get another chance to call that situation, hopefully we're going to mitigate, the cost involved. Because every call, there's a cost involved, but and there's a benefit involved. So you always weigh that. So you go, okay, why are you getting to certain calls, and why are you calling certain things? It'd be one thing if you're just ripping off calls with no thought in mind of what you're doing, but so much time and energy goes into those games, and we had 3 weeks to get ready for that game, so you can imagine the amount of thought that went into that game plan. And it's what it is. You got to be able to. It's like anything else. I mean, you got to learn to live and learn, and you got to also learn to say, hey, sometimes that's just where the ball's going to go. And it was a great football game to be a part of, and I'm sure we're going to be in a few of those here down the road.
Everyone's state has reached close to this level in the past, and as Michelle was pointing out, the challenge has always been sustained. And you have reached here, you've been around. Have people come up to you and ask you in the past, like, why can't Arizona State play at a high level? Stuff like that, those kind of got a strong there. Have you thought about that in the past?
I mean, that's a great. I mean, I guess that's a good question to ask in general, but it's funny. Like we're in such a bubble, as coaches. I mean, all we're thinking about is the players and the people we work with together every day. The past is the past. The future, is what's in front of us, and we got to do everything we can to prepare for what's next. And I guess it's a valid question when you look at the, in terms of the enormity of the question or the context of that. But, like right now, we know who we are right now, and we know what we're trying to accomplish. And every day there's a task to be completed, and that's the attitude that we're taking every day.